Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the third draw of the 2019 U-18 Canadian National Championships held here in Sherwood Park, Alberta.
We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are competing this week on the traditional lands of the Treaty 6 nations, including the Blackfoot, Cree, Dene, Gros-Ventre, Métis, Nakota Sioux, and Saulteaux. Indigenous people were joined by settlers and pioneers who together built this great community of Strathcona County.
This morning you have myself, Selena Sturmey, commentating, and alongside me you have Paige Papley. The morning games are on Sheet A, New Brunswick versus Alberta boys. Sheet B, Quebec versus Alberta girls. Sheet C, and our feature game, Saskatchewan versus Northern Ontario girls. Sheet D, Yukon versus Prince Edward Island girls. Sheet E, British Columbia versus New Brunswick girls. And then on the other half of the rink, held in the curling club of the Glen Allen complex, is on Sheet F, Saskatchewan versus Alberta host boys. Sheet G, Alberta host versus Ontario girls. Sheet H, Northwest Territories versus Manitoba boys. And Sheet I, Nova Scotia host versus Ontario boys. So getting things started this morning, we have two very accomplished teams. Team Saskatchewan has quite the history behind them. They've been one of the top juvenile teams in Saskatchewan. And we have Northern Ontario girls. They were the gold medal winners this year at the Canada Winter Games held in Red Deer, Alberta not too long ago. So definitely going to be a good matchup this morning.
For our draw to the pin this morning, each team threw two draw to the pins, and the closest overall number, the lowest number, ends up winning the last stone first end advantage. So Saskatchewan actually ended up putting both of their rocks right in the button, so they will have hammer in the first end.
So this is Lauren Rajala. She is the first stone thrower on Team Northern Ontario. She's only 16 years of age, so she still has a couple more years eligibility at this competition, as well as she is eligible for the Youth Olympics, which curlers from this event and from the Canada Winter Games will be selected to play in that. So it's two boys and two girls. So they did call a tight guard to start off here. Paige, do you see that quite often in curling, the first end calling a tight guard, or?
It kind of depends, I guess, how comfortable the teams are after their pregame practice or how aggressive they want to be in the first end of play. So Northern Ontario is obviously looking like they want to have some rocks in play this end.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely more of an offensive call. They're definitely looking to get the force this end.
Yeah, so for Team Saskatchewan, we have Abby Johnson at lead. She is 17 years old and in grade 12. She also happens to be Saskatchewan's U-18 mixed doubles provincial champion.
So in this rock, they are hoping for it to stop top 8, completely buried, and they look pretty close to that.
Yeah, great throw by Abby.
It's really good weight control. So Lauren will be attempting the freeze here. It's a very similar path that she just threw, so should be close on this one. Line looks pretty good here. And that is a pretty good shot from Northern Ontario.
Nice tap to get the Saskatchewan rock behind the T-line and out of the forefoot. Saskatchewan will now attempt the freeze on the Northern Ontario rock.
So, Paige, what's the tolerance on this shot? Where can you be and where can't you be with this one?
Really important is to make sure that you maintain an angle with your shot rock so that even if you're not dead frozen on it, you do have some, like, you can use it on your next shot. So she did overcurl a little bit on that one, but it still has an angle that Saskatchewan might be able to use on their next shot if they still want to attempt to get rid of that rock.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely going to see some good curling out of these two teams today.
Yeah, it's already looking real good.
So this is Piper Crozier. Her hometown is Sudbury, Ontario. She is only 15 years of age, so she has a lot of eligibility left in her. Fun fact about this Northern Ontario team as well is they finished first on the Ontario Junior Curling Tour for the 2018-2019 season. So that's pretty impressive for such a young team. There's definitely a lot of great curlers out of Ontario, and it seems like they just keep producing more and more amazing curlers.
Yeah. So now for Saskatchewan, we have Emma Weems. She is from Weyburn, Saskatchewan. She's actually 18, so this looks like it will be her last time being able to compete at this championship.
So they are calling the corner freeze. This is definitely a very smart call. They aren't really in too much trouble, and they have a good opportunity to get a third rock in there that makes it really hard for Northern Ontario to take out. So it's definitely a very, very smart and mature call.
Yeah, really taking advantage of that early miss from Northern Ontario.
Again, here they are playing the takeout, and something I love about this call is the skip called for a fairly down weight takeout, which is really smart. You kind of bring your sweepers into play a little bit more, and you just give yourself the best opportunity to make that shot possible. Sweeper staying close here, so it must be pretty close. They are trying to make a curl. That is a pretty good result.
Yeah, they're sitting second and third shot now.
They are going to call the freeze again. Paige, do you think with how much this ice curls, is that a really easy shot to get to that one with how high that guard is?
No, that guard is actually, well, if you look how much ice they're taking, that guard could definitely come into play. If it was a little tighter, it probably wouldn't be a problem, but being that slightly above halfway mark.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to squeeze by that top one to not get the overcurl here.
Yeah.
With how much these rocks are curling. Yeah, I honestly don't know if that shot was possible with that turn.
I don't think so. But yeah, that's still a really good result with that one.
Yeah. So Northern Ontario is looking at a way to set up an angle on that red Saskatchewan rock or somehow take it out. Throwing third stones, we do have Jamie Smith. She is a younger sister to Megan Smith. Both of us have actually had the privilege to curl against Megan Smith. She's a really good curler from Northern Ontario. She has been to the U-21 Canadians multiple times, and as well as the U-Sport University College curling championships, and she actually happened to win this year. So definitely some good curling blood in the family there.
No kidding.
Sweepers are working on this one. It's actually not a bad shot. A lot of the times we talk about pro miss in curling, but I think if you were going to miss the shot, that's the way to do it. You set up really two angles at that rock now, and Saskatchewan's definitely in some trouble.
Yeah, that was actually a really good shot. Now for Saskatchewan, we have Shayla Moore at third. She is 16, so also has a little bit longer to play in the U-18 level, and she also competed at the U-18 Saskatchewan Mixed Doubles Provincials.
So amazing how strongly these players are technically. A lot of them have really great slides, and they slide super straight.
Yeah, it makes the skips life a lot easier. You would know.
Yeah. Goes to show the amazing coaching we have here in Canada. So we do see a hit and roll away. That kind of opens the door for Jamie Smith here to make a play on her yellow. Or the red. I think tapping the yellow one with like a board waiter is a little bit easier. You roll your shooter away into that pile of red and open things up a little bit more.
Yeah, and you did just play that rock to have an angle at it, so.
Yeah, you just played that turn. You definitely have a better idea of what the ice is doing there, but.
Looks like they're just going to freeze it on the other side.
I think with how high that rock is, though, you can almost get at that red one either way.
I agree.
How much this ice curls.
Yeah. Sweepers are now giving her some. Really great weight, just a bit of an over curl there.
Yeah, it almost takes away that yellow angle, though, now.
Yeah, it does.
It's not as great of an angle. Still lots of rocks to come, though.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprised we're seeing lots of rocks in play with that center guard blown up first. So what's the tolerance of the shot, Paige? What basically can't you do with the shot?
So like we saw Emily motion, she said short was the miss in her mind. So that's actually pretty good because then you leave your red rock top 4 foot with a bit of protection, but you also leave yourself the 4 foot to continue to draw to and move. So I'd say that like top 12-ish is still fine.
Yeah, what Saskatchewan can't do is leave it deep in the house and set up a double.
Yeah. Or a freeze opportunity for Northern Ontario to cut down their scoring area.
That is a pretty good result.
Yeah.
Northern Ontario did motion to play the straight tap on their side yellow one there. I think that's a pretty good shot. Even if you do make it and Saskatchewan doesn't make a play on it, you probably have a slash on your next for a pile. Wow, it's amazing how much the ice is curling.
Yeah, it's
Taking a lot of ice on this one.
for a tap. We have yet to see an under curl, so that definitely tells you something about these ice conditions and how great they are.
So this is Bella Crozier. She is the skip of the Northern Ontario team. She has been curling for 11 years and is only 17. Quite impressive. Something also very interesting is a lot of the time you see curlers excelling very well in school as well. So a bunch of these players have above 90% average in school, which definitely says something about their commitment and I guess drive to be a really good student athlete as well.
It's very impressive to be able to put a lot of time into the sport and practicing as well as enough time in school to be able to achieve so much.
Paige, what would you play here?
I feel like the come around is a decent call. Even if you, kind of all you have at this point, honestly.
You either come around or you guard your red one, because if they run that one back, they're scoring 2 or 3.
Yeah. So this is Emily Hopstein. She's the skip for the team. She's 17 and in grade 12. She started curling 9 years ago and has been to many provincials and a couple Sask Winter Games, and is also quite good at school.
It's amazing of these young people now. So this rock is curling quite a bit. She does come up light. Not a terrible result, though. Northern Ontario will elect to play that same tap again. So what kind of weight are you looking for this tap, Paige? How much weight do you have to throw at it?
So you are moving 2 rocks, so you do need to throw a little bit more than you think, but you also have the entire 4 foot to put your rock in to cut down their scoring area. Mm-hmm. So you could probably throw anywhere from like around back 8's probably quite close to put that one in a really good spot, but you do have a bit of a tolerance to be a little bit heavier than that as well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
She just threw the same shot, so she should be quite close on this one.
Yeah, they call her on right away. Weight seems to be close. I think the sweeper said it was up out of her hand a little bit. Oh, she's really close.
Yeah.
And she does tap it to get shot rock.
Yeah, that was a really good shot.
So Saskatchewan is left with the same draw around to score their 1. Taking a lot of ice.
You have to when the surface is curling as much as it is.
What can we expect weight-wise throwing it this wide? What should the sweepers be knowledgeable of?
You should be knowledgeable that, like, in practice for your draws to the pin, you never really threw out this wide, and you can even see a little bit of frost on the ice from here. So even if it looks like it might be a little bit heavy to begin with, it's going to come down, especially with how much it's curling.
Yeah. It's always something hard as a skip is having to throw that wide, and it's really a guess on weight, but
yep.
She did throw it similarly wide on her first one, so it's always nice to throw the same path twice here.
Yeah. Looks like this one's hanging a little bit wider, which is good for them.
Yeah. I think they're going for line, though. It's going to be close to that top one. They can hold it there. Weight looks pretty close.
Looks really close.
Ah, really nice draw. It's a big shot for Saskatchewan in the first end.
Yeah. A lot of rocks in play, a lot of like really good shots and tricky paths to navigate.
So Saskatchewan did get their 1 in the first end, and Northern Ontario will have hammer playing 2. These are 8-end games, and they start with 30 minutes thinking time. So Paige, can you describe what thinking time is?
So what we consider thinking time is the time that you take to like decide what shots you're going to throw. So right now, Saskatchewan's thinking time would be running until she crosses the tee line, and then it will stop, and then the other team's thinking time will start as soon as Saskatchewan's rock comes to a stop. So it's just the amount of time they have to decide shots and think and, I don't know, figure things out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So very aggressive play by both teams. Saskatchewan did elect to go tight. So what does that kind of indicate? What does Saskatchewan want by going tight, Paige?
They really want to force Northern Ontario to a single point this end. They do not want them to be able to score a multiple. but they also want to have hammerbacks. So
Yeah, very aggressive play by both teams here. I believe Northern Ontario called the corner guard. You have to be careful where you put this one, though, because you always kind of want 2 draws to the pin and 2 ways to score your 1 point this end. So definitely over curling this guard is the result that you want to make sure that you still have a draw path.
yeah, you need to make sure you have a lot of room for those draws to the forefoot.
So they are sweeping it for it to curl. And it's fairly tight. You still do have a draw path there, so that's good.
Saskatchewan will come around their tight guard they played on Abby's first.
So that one did run a little bit straighter and was a little bit heavy. Product of that could be that the ice is starting to keen up, especially in those wide paths.
Still saw a lot of late finish on that one, though. It ran very wide down the sheet and still ended up fairly close to the center line.
So Laura is looking to attend university, completing an undergraduate degree in forensic science. That is her aspirations when she graduates. She is only in grade 11 as well, so she probably has been applying for universities.
Yep. It's nice to have aspirations. Northern Ontario also coming a little bit deep on their shot, but it is overcurled a little bit too, actually.
So Saskatchewan did call to come around again. They're looking to put this rock about top 4-ish, put some pressure on Northern Ontario, maybe even set up a steal. Sweepers aren't putting any brooms to it yet. It seems to be hanging out wide. We've seen that twice now, Paige. Maybe is it just a result of the frost coming off and just needing to take less ice there, maybe?
Definitely could be, because her weight was really close on this shot.
Yeah.
Just keening up, losing the frost, and not curling quite as much as they saw in pregame practice.
Yeah, early in the game, you'll see rocks curl a fair bit more just because it is cutting through that frost and does cause the rock to curl a little bit more. But as soon as that's broken down, you'll see the curl straighten up a bit.
Yep. If they go out, like, they have been playing quite wide on the sheet, so they might not see the frost quite on the very edges, but a lot of the times that'll happen too. Is you have to play a wider path partway through the game, and it curls more than you're expecting it to.
So she does look really close to the shot here. Still really good results.
Saskatchewan will try and play the hit and roll under.
Still leaves some trouble for Saskatchewan. They have to avoid the jam in the back there. It's definitely not an easy shot.
No.
I'd be tempted to almost open up the broom a little bit more and play a little bit more down weight, just to make sure you do get that inside roll. Rolling too far really isn't a problem on this rock, but nosing it or getting outside of it is.
Yeah. Shot's really close, though.
She does roll too far, so yellow is second shot rock, so Northern Ontario definitely can sink a good one here to set up a 2-score.
Which is what they want. Looks like Northern Ontario is doing what you said and playing a more downweight takeout to get rid of this Saskatchewan rock.
Yeah. So a little fun fact about Piper throwing here. She only is 15 years old, and she has been on the principals list 2016 to 2017 and 2017 to 2018. So what that means is she has a 90% average or better in school, which is quite impressive. She was also named a Fair Play Award at the 2018 U-18 Canadian National Championships as voted by the event umpire. So that shows that she is handles herself in a very sportsmanship-like way, and really great player as well.
Yeah, that's sportsmanship or fair play awards are very good things to get recognized for. So this is Shayla coming in with another come around. Again, not quite getting that curl that they wanted to.
Yeah, you've seen it 3 times now. I think you just got to trust to take less ice.
Definitely.
We do have a bunch of school kids from here in Sherwood Park, so that's what you're hearing in the background. They're cheering on the home team, Alberta. We have both boys and girls playing on sheets A and B right beside our feature game here. It's really amazing what Heather Nedowin has done here and put on a world-class event for these young U18 players.
Yeah, this event is really great. Really well run and really well organized, and even just everything that the athletes have is great.
I think this is definitely a pivotal role that plays in the development of Canadian curling in general. This event only came into play, I think, 3 years ago in 2017. Paige, I think you were there, right?
I was there. It was in New Brunswick, actually. It was a really great event. It was like first time playing on arena ice, and I think playing on arena ice as a U18 curler is a really, really good thing to have in regard to development of young players.
Yeah, especially just getting the chance to play other teams across Canada and getting that national exposure only develops the game and helps athletes grow a little bit more. So when they do get into those positions in the junior level or Briar and Scotty's level or maybe even Olympic level, they definitely have some experience. So yeah, just big thank you to Curling Canada for making this happen, as well as our sponsors. We do have quite a bit of sponsors for this event, and the 2 platinum ones are Alberta Sport Connection and Strathcona County. So big thank you to them, as well as all other sponsors of this event.
Yeah, it wouldn't really be possible without them, so it's really great for curling in general. Thank you for supporting. So with Skip's first rock, Saskatchewan will again attempt the hit and roll.
Yeah. Big shot for Saskatchewan. They can definitely put on a lot of pressure by making a good hit and roll here. Even nose isn't bad.
Yeah, nose is what they ended up doing on their last one, so.
Just can't be wide here. That's one thing you can't do.
So this is Emily, and she has already gotten accepted to pre-pharmacy at the University of Saskatchewan, as she's in grade 12 right now.
Very great delivery. She slides super straight. Oh. And she's really close. That's still a really good result.
Yeah. A little bit of a roll in, but still sitting 2, which is great when you don't have hammer.
Paige, do you think it's possible to freeze that back one or even tap it?
I definitely think that is possible
Yeah,
with how much this ice curls.
I think that's almost the easier of the 2 shots and gives you almost better scoring potential. If you miss this shot, you're looking at a hard way to score your 1, as Saskatchewan can make a really good shot.
Also, if you make this shot, your shooter probably does not stick around for second shot.
Yeah, with how lively these rocks are.
What do you mean by lively, Selena?
So in arena ice and arena rocks, these rocks are what curlers call really sharp. So the striking bands, the little lighter colored circle around the rock, is basically what causes the rocks to roll or roll. So these striking bands are really small and really touchy. So it's going to cause your rock to roll a lot more than what a club rock would. Oh. So Saskatchewan has a big window of opportunity to sink a good draw here, top 4, and it's going to be really hard for Northern Ontario to score.
Yeah, so they've played this path multiple times this end, so hopefully they've figured out the ice now and it'll be really close.
Big opportunity to capitalize here on a miss.
Definitely.
So I think they did take a little bit less ice than what they were in the beginning of this end, and so that is good. They should be close on line here.
Yeah, they've definitely moved it into the 12 foot now.
Sweepers are just cleaning it right now. So they did switch sweepers. Paige, why is that?
So they, Abby Johnson said that the rock needed to curl. So now you can see that she's sweeping with the curl. So the way they want the rock to move, the sweeper closest to the rock is sweeping with it. So they are trying to help it move in the direction to promote more curl. So the sweeping in that way tries to promote that or exaggerate it or anything like that. It's kind of a cross-face motion. They did throw that really well. Ended up in a really good place for Saskatchewan. Makes Northern Ontario's lives very difficult here.
So big shot here for Northern Ontario. Looking for a piece of the pin. It definitely is there with how much this rock and the ice curls.
Sweepers are calling it to be a little heavy.
Yeah, it's got to come down a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think this one's going to stop. So that will be a steal of 2 for Saskatchewan.
Yeah. So that 2 steal was really set up just by a couple of shots that Northern Ontario didn't quite make. So one being the flash on Seconds Rocks, I believe. And then again, the missed double opportunity on Skips Rocks, and Saskatchewan was able to put a rock full top 4 foot.
Yeah, so that just goes to play how quickly an end can change and the importance of capitalization on missed shots. So as soon as you do see a half shot, it's really important for you to nail down and make that next one and put a lot of pressure on the opposition.
Yeah, not letting misses get to be contagious is also really important in capitalizing. Northern Ontario will again have the hammer in the third end. So just coming in the house with that first one, they probably wanted it full 4 foot, but making sure that you didn't really leave a guard is important for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, just making sure that that rock has paint underneath it, and preferably in the top half of the house, is a pretty good shot. And here, Northern Ontario has elected to play the corner guard. So, Paige, what is the ideal depth of a corner guard on this ice, and why?
So on this ice, because of how much it is curling to the middle and to the wings, you want it to be quite tight to the rings. The reason you want to do that is because if you can get around it once you've put it up, it makes hitting that rock out a lot more difficult, because as if a rock was a lot higher, so like that halfway mark, if you put something on the tee line, there's a lot of space a rock can travel between the guard and the rock you're trying to hit.
Yeah, the opposition can get to it pretty much no matter what.
Yeah.
It's not a great shot either, because that definitely cuts off your in-turn draw path on that side with where that corner guard is and where Saskatchewan's top red one is. So you really you don't really have a great draw to the pin right now to score one.
No, you don't, which is unfortunate. If that rock was like a couple feet deeper, it would be much better for Northern Ontario.
Playing skip as a rule of thumb, what I always like to have is to make sure I have one makeable draw to the forefoot as well as another shot, whether it's a hit or a tap to score my one. So while calling the game, that's definitely something to keep in mind. So as you can see, she did elect to call the hit and roll. Very smart call. It definitely opens up those 2 draw paths like I was just talking about. So something you will see early on is hits curl more in the middle and on the center line. So a product of that could be frost, or you might see a little bit of a peak on center line. What do I mean when I say that, Paige?
So when you say there's a peak, it just means that like the ice isn't completely like level. You'll just see rocks like as soon as they catch center line. It's kind of like once they cross the other side of it, they're going downhill.
Yeah.
So it just curls more because of that slight like downhill angle, I guess.
So pretty good shot.
Yeah, Saskatchewan's just going to ignore that rock in the rings and put another one up.
Kind of surprised by that, being 3 up playing the scoreboard. Really, any yellow rocks in the house you want to get rid of at this point.
Yeah.
2 very aggressive teams, that's for sure. Makes for some interesting curling.
Definitely. A little bit heavy with this one. Bumps their own rock back a little bit.
Yeah, both rocks are behind T-line, which is not ideal, being 3 up.
Yeah, I know those rocks definitely favor the Northern Ontario team.
Paige, would you ever just come around the corner guard, or those rocks of really much of danger to you right now?
Being that it's only your first stone, I think you could just come around the corner guard and just wait a couple rocks and try to get something a little bit better established than that one that you have half in the 12-foot.
Especially being 3 down puts a little bit more pressure on your opposition, and then you can elect to play a freeze later on, or even if you don't have the perfect freeze, they're behind T-line, and jam opportunities are definitely in play.
Definitely. Unfortunately, rolling the wrong way, or not the way they called. And Saskatchewan will elect to hit this one.
Something I think we see a lot in under 18 curling is they throw the corner guard, but then we don't really see much use of it later on in the end. So I think when you have an opportunity like that, you have to jump all over it.
Especially being 3 down, you really need all 8 rocks to be used to score a good multiple here. And by not using that corner guard, it's kind of like you're not even using one of your rocks.
So that is a break for Northern Ontario. You should see them come around the corner now. Yep. It's like she heard us talking. So a good rock here can set up a potential 2-score or even a 3-score if we see a miss.
Pretty important setup shot.
Yeah. 2 points is all you really need to get back in this game here.
Especially with the 5-rock rule, generating points is a lot easier. Selena, could you explain the 5-rock rule and why I think it's easier to get 2?
Yeah, so just this past season, I guess Curling Canada has switched over to the 5-rock rule. So before, it used to be the 4-rock rule. So any rock above the house, so from the tee line to the hog line and not in the rings, is considered a guard. So the first 5 rocks of the end, you are not allowed to hit any guards. And if you do, they go back into play. So with that being, it just kind of evens out the playing field a little bit more for teams with hammer and gives you basically one more free shot at a come around, which makes it a lot harder to defend against 2 points, especially when you don't have the hammer and you can't peel on that 5th delivered stone. So it looks like we are going to see a little bit of a miss here by Saskatchewan. Just misses the jam, but that still gives you the free come around again. So it's always nice to throw the same shot twice. So this is where team communication is really important. Feeding back from the second to Jamie Smith here, how the second threw it and what she thinks the weight is here. Oftentimes after a couple of rocks in that same path, you will see the path keen up or straighten up. So communication between the team is really important here, and just help your teammates make the shot.
Definitely, especially coming after like a miss from your team. You want to learn as much as you can from that miss to be able to make your next shot.
So they should be fairly close on this shot. They are calling to sweep it for line.
Looks like it's curling quite a lot. As you can see, it's coming off of the center line right now. Quite aggressively.
Pretty good shot, though. It's looking like the weight is fairly good.
Yep.
So if you were going to overcurl or undercurl, which one would you choose and why?
In this instance, I would say overcurl, because the only way Saskatchewan can get at this rock is from the outside, and their rock is actually sitting potentially in the way. So if you ever were to hit it not exactly where you wanted to, for Saskatchewan, they could end up jamming it on their own rock in the back 8 foot.
Yeah. It's almost like you've played this game a couple times.
I've done no curling this year, I swear. I've never thrown a come around either.
Leads don't do that, hey?
Never.
So this rock does look pretty close. Sweepers were working on it hard. That's really a brilliant sweep. You have great young players and great sweepers at this age.
Yeah. They're able to manage that rock and put it exactly where they wanted it.
So something we did mention before is the importance of capitalization. So I believe Northern Ontario's second is struggling a little bit, which has been followed up by some really great shots with the Saskatchewan third, which really makes the Skips' life a little bit harder. So as you can see, I think we're going to be playing back a couple of those shots right away.
Did see Northern Ontario just tick that corner guard they threw over. They did end up rolling the thrown rock into the rings and left themselves still a corner guard, which is great, but Saskatchewan is still sitting with 2.
I think this is a really smart call. You're still sitting first and second shot, so you have some opportunity to set up even more pressure for Team Northern Ontario here. So a really good draw here can really put the pressure on.
Yeah, and earlier on we said that this draw path was quite unavailable, but now with that corner guard being moved over a little bit and we don't now have a rock on the center line, this draw path is a lot more accessible. So I did notice for the Saskatchewan team that they do not have the traditional lineup of the third holding broom for the Skips rocks. Selena, could you guess or say why some teams might not choose to follow like the traditional lineup?
Yeah, it's really what works best for that team and that team dynamic. So maybe the girl who throws third rocks is a really great sweeper, and if that's where she thrives as a player and can help the team more, you can definitely put her there.
That was a really great shot by the Saskatchewan skip, Emily.
I think the freeze really plays great here. It gives you an opportunity to find your draw weight. And if you make it half decent, Saskatchewan will probably be picking out their back red one, and then you have the same shot for your 1 point. So it's kind of a gimme draw here. Find draw weight, and then you should be able to nail it on your last.
We do have a timeout being called by the Northern Ontario coach.
If you make the freeze perfect as well on your first and you see a half shot by Saskatchewan, you might even have a shot for 2.
Yeah, which is all you can really hope for at this point. So for timeouts, each team gets 2 timeouts a game, and they are 90-second timeouts.
100 seconds.
My bad. Both coaches are allowed to talk to their teams during them. In this instance, the play is actually happening at the away end. So if the Northern Ontario coach wanted to, because they're the team that called the timeout, he could walk down to the other end to get a better look at it.
Yeah, so here we have Sean Crozier as the coach for Northern Ontario. So he definitely has some great experience behind him. He's been coaching for over 10 years, winning gold at the 2019 Canada Winter Games, as well as winning bronze at the Ontario Winter Games in 2018. He also has a whole bunch of provincial championships behind him. So yeah, definitely a lot of knowledge. See what he told the team here. I think a draw of some sort definitely is the shot here. It definitely gives a skip to throw the same shot twice, as she's probably going to be throwing a draw on her second one here. They are looking at that top yellow rock, though.
A lot of the times, coaches will use their timeouts not to question the team strategy or give them another shot, but just to reinforce like where they're putting the broom and what like tolerances and stuff like that. In this case, it does look like a strategy change.
So I think they are electing to run this rock back. Really high skill shot here. You can make two go. The only question is I'm not sure if your shooter is in the house, and I'm not sure how you score your two here. It's always tough going from throwing a bomb on your first as a skip and then having to draw on your second one. Oh no. So Saskatchewan is still sitting first, second, and third shot.
So not quite the result they wanted out of that one, unfortunately. Team Saskatchewan will be able to throw a very similar shot to their skips first, which is nice on their side, and put quite a bit of pressure, or build some more pressure on the Northern Ontario side.
Yeah, so like I was saying before with that shot, it's a really hard shot, and there's really no plan B with that shot. If you miss it in any way, it's not the greatest, and it leaves a huge window for Saskatchewan to make a great shot. And again, you're looking at 2 or 3 or 4 red ones in the house, and your skip has to make a really great draw when she hasn't really had that chance.
Another thing you always want to think of is try and let your team make the easier shots and the other team make the harder shots. So in that instance, she had to throw the very high difficulty shot, whereas Saskatchewan is just throwing a draw to the top 8 foot.
Yeah. I think especially for a skip and a young skip, anytime you have the chance to throw a draw, especially with backing, take that opportunity, as at some points throughout the game, your skip will definitely have to make a pressure draw, and having those as practice, I guess, definitely helps. Saskatchewan did come up a little bit light, big miss. And it leaves Northern Ontario with either a hit or a draw. I think the hit is fairly makeable, as you can even come off that side red one if you're a little bit wide. I think she is playing down weight, probably like a backline weight here with how much ice she is giving. So just important that you stick your shooter in play.
Yeah, really important to not run your top yellow or clip your top yellow one either. You just really got to make sure you move the shot Saskatchewan rock.
So your tolerance here is definitely heavy and a little bit wide, as you can come off that side one.
And you definitely cannot come off your top one.
Yeah, no, crashing on the top is not good. So I think as a thrower, she probably knows that. She seems pretty close. Got to make sure not to lose it here. I think that's the biggest thing to know when you're on arena ice is those back lines and hacks are going to curl a lot more than what they normally do on a club ice.
Yeah, so that was a really good pressure shot made by the Northern Ontario skip.
Yeah. So as you can see, great weight control, great communication between the two sweepers and the line caller in the house. And that makes Northern Ontario score 1 in the third end. So, Paige, what can we expect from the Northern Ontario team moving into this fourth end here?
Well, I don't think the ends are going to get any less complicated. If not, they'll get more complicated, and it's not like we've had a lack of rocks in play up to this point.
Yeah.
Just hoping to get a steal here for Northern Ontario, or even forcing the Saskatchewan team and getting hammer back for the fifth end is pretty good.
A steal here would be huge, though. You also take control of even ends and gain one more hammer than the other team.
Yeah, so they're definitely going to be playing hard for that steal.
Do you think we'll see 2 center guards go up or just 1?
I think they might end up throwing another one because this one looks like it's sliding in the rings. But
veteran call.
Wait for it to hit the paint and then let them know. Yeah, I think depending if they made a really good guard, like a really tight guard on their first one, I think throwing up the second one would probably be a good call if they really want to get that steal.
Yeah. It's also amazing how much family came out to watch these kids. You just look in the stands and they're all packed with their home province's colors. It's amazing to see that support.
It's really good. The crowds are loud and abundant.
So that's actually a really good shot in curling that I think oftentimes gets overlooked from the leads position. So Paige, can you kind of describe why that's such a great shot?
Yeah, so we actually play this shot quite a lot. The goal is to get the play to the outer third of the sheet. You know that Northern Ontario is definitely coming to the center. So if you can just have a couple of rocks over in the side and then hopefully make your shots, and then you might end up getting a bunch just because Northern Ontario might overlook those ones that are just hanging out in the side 12 foot.
Yeah, so something that is also, that rock might come into play if Saskatchewan has the opportunity just to pick a rock. So the last rock of the end, they don't necessarily have to hit and stay or anything because they do have one more rock in the house. So if it does come down to it, it makes the Skip's life a little bit easier.
Knowing that they don't have to stick their shooter.
Yeah. I think they are playing the tick, so a little bit of an interesting call.
Yeah, so a tick shot is, so right now we talked about the 5 rock rule, so that Northern Ontario rock is not able to be removed from play at this point, but Saskatchewan is going to try and move it over to be more of an advantage to their team.
Yeah, so Saskatchewan really doesn't want any rocks up front. So they're going to try and tick this rock over. Looks really close.
Yeah, roll to a corner guard.
So even that shot's pretty good.
Yeah, just getting it off the center line is quite important for Saskatchewan. You
open up your scoring area a lot more with that. I'd almost, be tempted to throw another guard just because.
Well, you know Saskatchewan's probably going to peel or try another shot of the sort they just did, so.
Right now, Saskatchewan has pretty much the whole 4 foot open, so you're definitely going to bank on, or hoping to bank on a miss from Saskatchewan to steal your point here.
Definitely. Looks like they are coming around that one, though.
So they are calling weight is a 7. So what does that mean? Can you describe the number system for weight judging?
So teams can usually pick between either just saying like top 12 or using a number system. So the guard zone is split up into 3 zones. So 1, 2, 3. So the number 1 is closest to the hog line. 2 is about halfway. 3 is a tight guard. The top 12 would be 4. Top 8 is 5. Top 4 foot is 6. And that T line is a 7. So they were calling T line on that. And then the number system will continue through the back 4 foot to back 12 all the way to 10. So just like a reference system that they use to call weight to your skip or line caller.
So Paige, did you see if they called for the roll away or roll under?
I did not see. I think
they called for the roll under.
I think so too, just the way that they're playing that.
That's kind of interesting considering they wanted to play the tick on their first, but
yeah, and I
guess if you make the roll under, you might cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Northern Ontario is not ignoring these rocks on the side 12 foot anymore.
Yeah, I think there's an easy double opportunity, and you probably even get a roll with it as well. So good shot here. Can definitely set up the end for a force, if not a steal.
Did make contact with both rocks. Got rid of one, that's okay, but they didn't stick their shooter, which is a little bit unfortunate for Northern Ontario. They did move the Saskatchewan rock behind the tee line, which does help them, but... So this is second Emma Weems, and her curling idol, or who she admires, is Joanne Courtney.
So that definitely is a mistake from Team Saskatchewan. Opens up the window a little bit more for Northern Ontario to sink a good draw in here and force them pressure. So this is definitely a smart turn to play at it. You can probably get around it either way, but I think this way, if you undercurl or overcurl, it just sets up a little bit of a better angle.
They're also probably a little bit more familiar coming this way as well, which is helpful.
So what's the tolerance on the shot? Would it be better to be heavy or light?
I think, I don't know, it's kind of hard. This is one you really want to make well, but I think just making sure that you have a piece tucked no matter where it is quite important for Team Northern Ontario. Or mostly buried. As you can see them trying to get the little bit of last minute finish.
So that is a really nice shot. It is completely buried, and Saskatchewan will have to play a freeze to set up an angle. I do believe with how high that guard is, though, they can probably tap it back with a backline weightish.
Yep, I agree.
Or you can also just straight peel playing the scoreboard.
Yeah, it makes Northern Ontario have to throw a guard on their next one to protect that one, and with how much this ice is curling, guards are not that easy to make.
Yeah, if you slip a little bit heavy with this freeze, it does create a little bit more opportunity for Northern Ontario as well. So you have to be quite precise, and it does look a little bit heavy. Sweepers are right off of it. It does slip back.
Slips through.
So it does leave opportunity for them to come and freeze it right again.
It's nice too because Jamie got to throw this on her first shot, so she'll get to throw it again if they decide to call it.
Light's definitely the miss, but if you're to it, that's also a really good shot.
Yeah, puts a lot of pressure on Saskatchewan.
So they are calling up. As a skip, I would be thinking, okay, let's make this in a spot that can be useful to us. Something really important for that makes a good team is that communication and kind of thinking ahead of plan B if the sweepers say it's up or down, knowing where to put it.
Yeah, plan B is really important, and a lot of the times just like the initial weight call your sweepers can give you helps the skip have a general idea of what to do with the rock.
So that was left in a pretty good position. Forces a really long double from Saskatchewan. They did call to sweep right out of the player's hand, and it looks like it is over curling a little bit. Oh, yeah. That's probably the worst thing that could have happened, but
yeah, now Northern Ontario has a guard completely covering it, and they can just come around it.
Yeah, so big chance for Northern Ontario. I think coming right into the 4-foot forces a lot of pressure, especially because Saskatchewan really doesn't have any run back right now with how those red rocks are overlapped. So making a good draw here, top 4-foot, is really going to force a lot of pressure.
With the way these rocks are staggered, Selena, would you consider coming the other way now, or would you still play the same turn?
I would probably still play the same turn just because this ice is so swingy. So you definitely will have no trouble getting there, that's for sure. And they've been playing this turn the whole end where playing that other way is kind of a guess. As well as if you're short with this turn, you kind of cut down her draw path a little bit more.
Definitely.
So line says pretty good. Sweepers are watching it right now. If anything, I think it needs to curl.
Yeah, I agree. They were calling a little bit up earlier, but...
Yeah, so just again, the importance of communication, knowing if it's up and knowing when to sweep or when not to sweep.
Yeah.
So this is actually the second rock that we've seen slip heavy here, so could be a product of just so many rocks down that path that it's keener than they think.
So Saskatchewan will again try to play that freeze.
Yeah, so a really good rock here can actually set up a possible 2-score if they just get to the corner of that rock near center line and corner freeze it. They will be shot, and then she would probably have a draw to full 4 or a piece of the pin for her 2.
Even if she comes up a little bit late and just creates the angle, she would have to be able to play it on her next one again for a couple probably.
I think the biggest thing is not to over curl on this one. You can be pretty much wide open, and it forces Northern Ontario to make a really good shot with where their 2 yellow ones are to avoid a jam here.
They are sweeping to get some more curl on this rock.
Yeah, I don't think you really have to though. That's the only thing.
Looks like a really good shot, but
yeah. So see, they switch back there.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, they are not shot.
Yeah, no, that's something they could have definitely avoided.
Yeah. What would you do as the skip of Northern Ontario right now?
Right now they only have a draw, and the skip has been pretty bang on with her draw weight, so I think you got to put a rock to make that draw really hard. I think even coming full top 12 on the right-hand side of center line, as you guys would see, would force a really hard draw.
Definitely.
Even if you're top 8, with how much this ice curls, your traditional guard isn't really going to have much play just because there's so much swing in the ice that it's not really doing any help way out front. I think a key to this is to take enough ice because it's really hard to be too wide on this shot with how much finish there is in the ice. So I would be cautious putting that inside sweeper in.
Yeah, they do have her going. It does look like it's going to curl enough.
Yeah, well, where this rock is right now, it's not really even in play to cut down the draw, right?
Not at all.
You could probably even be on the BP's logo there, and she would still be forced to come in a different draw path.
Yeah.
So I think that's where you see the biggest misses out of these players is when they're forced to take a new draw path.
A couple ends ago, we did see Saskatchewan struggle with this turn, not getting as much curl or being a little bit wider than they wanted to be. So we'll see if they've made the adjustment for this last draw.
So a fun fact about Bella Crozier, the skip of Northern Ontario, she also has some really good awards and standings in school. So she also was on the principal's list, which is a average of 90% or above. She also was awarded the Ontario Volunteer Service Award for Youth by the Ontario Ministry of Citizenship and Immigration. So that definitely awards her for being a great citizen and volunteering her time. So yeah, like I said, Saskatchewan team makes no mistake with her draw weights.
Nope, they knew that path for sure. So we now have the fourth end break. Chance for these teams to talk to their coach, address any issues that they have, stuff like that, or even have a snack.
Yeah, really great shot. Scoring one there was huge, and great managed by the sweepers there. So we are going to take a little break, and we will be back in 5-ish minutes. All right, so we are back in action starting the fifth end. Our current score is 4-1 for Saskatchewan. So here we have a couple highlights of what really made this game what it is. So this was a Saskatchewan draw in the first end, and then Saskatchewan draw in the second end. So the Skip really has her draw weight nailed down, has been putting some pressure shots on and making some pressure shots as well. So this was really what changed the game. Northern Ontario gave up a big 2 steal in the second end.
Northern Ontario making that nice downweight hit for their 1 in the third end.
And then here in the fourth end, you see a beautiful draw by the Skip of Saskatchewan to score their 1 point, a really crucial point to kind of give them an advantage. So here we are in the fifth end. This is Northern Ontario's first Leeds Rock.
We do have a couple score updates from the sheets that are also playing. So on the boys' side of the draw, we have New Brunswick versus Alberta. Alberta's up 5-2. On sheet F, we have Saskatchewan versus Alberta host. Saskatchewan leads 4-3. On sheet H, we have Northwest Territories versus Manitoba, and Manitoba leads 6-3. And on sheet I, we have Nova Scotia host up 4-1 on Ontario. On the girls' side of things, we have Alberta leading Quebec 6-3. On sheet B, we know the score for our game. Then on sheet D, we have Prince Edward Island versus Yukon, and the score is 7-0 for Prince Edward Island. BC and New Brunswick are 5-3 New Brunswick. And then the Alberta host team is playing the Ontario girls team, and they are tied at 3 points.
So Northern Ontario is throwing pretty much the same shot. They are coming around their yellow guard. They're calling on for line really soon. Maybe a little bit of a tight slide there. See if the sweepers can hold this one. So the weight does look pretty close. And they are a little bit light. It's not a bad result. Kind of gives you another second corner guard, and the double peel isn't really easy because the one yellow probably is rolling into the house. So a good shot here by the Saskatchewan second. Can put a little bit of pressure on Northern Ontario here.
They are also called on pretty early for line on this one.
I think she might have slid a little bit tight. I saw her pop it out at the end a little bit and give a little bit more rotation. So that little bit more rotation and upward motion will hold it a little bit straighter. She does crash on the guard. Saskatchewan needs to be careful because rocks up front can sometimes harm you when you're up up a couple points. All of a sudden you miss a couple shots and Northern Ontario makes a couple, and then
got a close game again. Northern Ontario is calling the hit and roll behind those double corner guards or staggered corner guards.
So this is a very smart call. I don't even know if you necessarily need to remove it from play either. Saskatchewan did give you a little bit of an off-center or a tighter corner guard. You can probably just tap it behind there, and it might be available as a freeze option. Just like that, with that up weight, you do risk the chance of rolling out. Luckily, there was that rock there for a catcher. So as you can see, like I said before, if they did play a little bit more of a down weight, it might have curled a little bit more.
Making sure that shooter stays in the rings or stays in play even is really important. So mission accomplished on that one.
So I'm really surprised Saskatchewan isn't peeling at this point. Those two rocks are grouped really close together.
Yeah.
So I think something you have to know being Northern Ontario is being able to change your strategy according to the other team's strategy. So we've seen Saskatchewan be really aggressive in the middle, and I think you almost have to account for that no matter what the scoreboard is. So I think playing away from the center and trying to draw them into the corner is a little bit more beneficial at this time, but also knowing when to bail, because we have seen Northern Ontario get stuck playing in the middle quite a lot and giving up steals or having really hard shots to score. So I think knowing your bail point is really important, as well as calling makeable shots.
Yeah. Also knowing that Saskatchewan is going to give you chances because they are playing so aggressive, you're always going to have some rocks to work with and something to go with, because a lot of the times when you're down, you want a few more rocks in play to hopefully generate a few more points.
So this rock should be close for the hit and roll. She just misses the double. So then again, like when you're down points, I think it's really beneficial to bring that weight unit down, because hitting and rolling out really, really hurts you. Even playing one more weight unit down and opening up the broom a little bit just gives your sweepers a little bit more chance to come into play and minimizes your risk of rolling out in those situations. That's really what's killing Team Northern Ontario here, I think. They're just making too many half shots and not allowing to fully reap the benefits of every single shot that they can. So again, Saskatchewan is completely ignoring those corner guards and just electing to play in the middle.
This one looks like it's coming up a little bit late, so Northern Ontario, again, will have an opportunity to benefit from this bit of a miss.
So this is a big miss. I think you ignore that one in the back 8 completely and just draw around.
I agree.
Draw around top 8, top 4 around the corners and let them maybe come and play to you. That rock back 8 foot's not much of a harm to you. It's probably going to be available all end to hit. Especially hitting and rolling, you're probably sticking pretty close to nose and they just have a hit back at you and you're never going to generate more than 1 or 2 points with this shot.
Yeah. Really trying to hold that rock so that they can stay in play, but again, rolling out, which is not ideal when Saskatchewan can give you, like, has been giving you opportunities.
Kind of surprised they've been ignoring those 2 all ends. Yeah, they're going for it, so I think almost this late in the end, you may as well just draw anyways.
Hope for a force or a steal.
Even if you do make it, you still leave that come around available both ways because you pretty much have to hit nose or just off nose. Yeah. And if you're playing at the wide side, your shooter probably catches on the side yellow.
Yeah, and those 2 Saskatchewan rocks on the other side of the sheet are very much in Northern Ontario's favor.
And that was the risk with that shot, so now you leave a wide open come around. So I think on this shot, the tolerance is to be wide because you know that you can get enough finish. As you can see, she just opened up the broom a little bit. It's also not a terrible play to click off your top yellow one and split them and create some distance between them.
Make the double possibility as hard as possible.
Yeah, they're calling on for Lion right away. Lion's really close. I think they can afford to start finishing it.
Would you agree that it's necessary to be above tee on this shot, Selena? As the skip was just saying?
Not really, because I think as long as you don't leave it right behind tee line and have some opportunity to freeze it out if Saskatchewan does make a really good freeze. I think the tolerance is you want to make the Saskatchewan skip hit as much as possible. She's been nailing her draws, so try and call strategy to make her hit, and you might see a miss there, as you haven't seen a miss in her draws in quite a few ends. So,
has she even thrown a hit yet?
I'm actually not too sure.
Me neither.
She definitely leans towards her draws, so as Northern Ontario, you should be able to pick that out and set up the rocks in a way that it forces her to hit.
If you give her a chance to draw, she will.
Yeah, she's really good with her draws. It's amazing. Such a young age. It's definitely something skips need to have is good draw weight.
It's a huge asset.
Yeah, this is curling lots. Ooh.
She's really close.
She's on that top one. So that's a huge break. That port is really tight. I'm not sure if... I think you almost let Saskatchewan play that and come the other way.
Yeah, you could definitely still draw around that other corner guard on the other side.
So I think that top yellow one's in a really good spot, actually, of where it is.
Yeah, you don't really want to move it that far.
No. It's definitely a very usable rock for Northern Ontario right now. Would you ever consider coming to the other corner page where Jamie Smith's broom is right now?
I think so. I think make Saskatchewan try and play like the skip play, a different shot than she just threw. It also gives you a chance to like spread them out.
I think even if you don't get it fully buried, you almost want to leave it a quarter open or half open and bait her into that hit. You might see a miss that way.
Yeah, and then even if she ends up
3 or possibly 4.
Yeah, and if she ends up like rolling straight behind your rock that's on like close to the center line, it's not a super far run back.
So that is a really nice shot.
Really good to call the audible and get the rub off.
So Saskatchewan is looking for a really nice draw. Gonna have to nail this one to avoid a multiple score.
Yeah.
So just looking back, that's really great managed. The sweepers did tell that they were up a little bit and they were able to get a little bit of a click.
The nice thing too is they didn't move that rock in the top 12 over very far. So it's still in that good usable place we talked about before.
Big pressure shot here. So I think something to be aware of is this path has been thrown so many times that you are going to see it straighten up just a little bit as well.
Yeah.
There's really no room for error with this shot. Can't be wide, can't be inside, can't be light or can't be heavy, so you need to be right bang on.
Yeah, this is not an easy curling shot. Curler that Emily, skip of Team Saskatchewan, admires the most is Rachel Homan.
So she looks really close here. They're sweeping for a line, giving it all. And we see it click, and she has a wide open hit for 4. I think it's almost more makeable to make this shot with the in-turn, so coming across the center line. More times than not, you're going to see over curls on hits like these.
Yeah.
Taking the out turn with this, you have to skinny by both guards.
And the yellow one. Yeah, no,
especially on arena ice, it's hard not to make that rock curl.
They are throwing quite a bit of weight at this, which is quite smart considering that port is pretty small.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to get too cute with this one.
Nope.
Even if you don't stick your shooter somehow, but I think if you get contact with the majority of that rock, you're scoring 4.
They are taking the turn you were talking about.
So huge shot from Bella here. I think you need to be careful. I think I saw her push it out a little bit at the end there, so it's going to run a little bit straighter.
She's good.
Oh, yeah, she's really good. Really nice shot by Bella to score 4. And that does make the score 5-1 with Northern Ontario for the first time getting control of this game.
5-4.
Oh, yeah, close enough. Really nice shot. So that's huge to take control into the 6th end here.
Yeah, definitely.
Whatever their coach had to say must have worked at 4th end break.
All right, so they are now leading. So oh, they're still going tight. Still going for the aggressive play. Trying to get a force out of Saskatchewan, out of Saskatchewan here.
I don't hate this call. I think Team Northern Ontario is definitely more of a hitting team than a drawing team. So by electing to play that guard tight, it does give them a lot of opportunity for runbacks.
Yeah, definitely. It does allow Saskatchewan to play some draws fairly early on behind a guard, which, as we know,
Yeah, you have to be
is their
careful about.
strong suit.
She does slip in. That was definitely the miss, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot better than being on the higher side.
So something to think about is I know they called the corner guard on the left-hand side of the sheet, but I'd almost be tempted to throw it on the right-hand side of the sheet. It just makes that hit and roll a little bit shorter, as well as you still have that one side and the draw to the center line. It's wide open. You have no guards. You have nothing really forcing it too tight there, but she does slip in with this one as well, so we can expect Northern Ontario to hit it. It is really important to stick the shooter on this one. And she rolls out. Paige, why was it important to make sure that that yellow rock sticks in the house with this 5-rock roll?
So you are going to see Saskatchewan throw another guard, but if you were to have stuck that one in the house, it really puts the force and pressure on Saskatchewan because they know they have to move 2 of those rocks, or at least one of them, to be able to score anything.
Yeah, it really puts on the force, especially since Northern Ontario cannot peel this corner guard on their next shot with the 5-rock roll. So it's kind of a freebie shot for Saskatchewan.
Yep.
Again, I am surprised by how tight she wants this to the house and how tight she wants it to center line, because right now she has really no draw path at all with where these 2 rocks are.
Especially playing it on that side of the sheet. Like, this is not even a corner guard. It's more like an off-center guard. She's covering, like, half a piece of the 4 foot.
And now it's really easy. Sometimes offense is your best defense for Northern Ontario, so they are able to put up a center line guard and cover half of their yellow rock, as well as choke off the Saskatchewan corner guard. And when I say choke off, it means that they can no longer come around it because that yellow one is in the way. So if they do come around it, they will have to come around the wide side of it.
Do you think by putting that rock closer to the center line like they have been, they actually are trying to be able to play it around wide side?
I don't think so, or else you would be putting up the corner guard that way, right?
It's true.
It just doesn't make sense to me for you to play the corner guard with one turn and then switch it for the come around on the next.
I agree.
Makes ice reading and judging wise for sweepers a lot harder.
Yes. Northern Ontario does hit 2 right now, and Saskatchewan will try. I think they're trying to hit and roll under.
And so in the first time this game, you are seeing Saskatchewan miss quite a lot of shots.
Yeah, so Northern Ontario still trying to throw that guard.
The nice thing is now Saskatchewan does have a draw path, though. They do have a draw path with that out turn. It's pretty wide open, and all they need is a good piece of the 4. The skip has had her draw weight all game, so I have no doubt if it comes down to that, she will be able to make it.
And feel comfortable throwing it as well.
Going back to the 4th end, actually, this is very similar as to how the 4th end set up, and she was able to make that draw perfectly. So that guard unfortunately did not curl enough and leaves Saskatchewan with a pretty wide open hit and roll opportunity to set up 2 points.
It's also quite a high guard, so not the most useful placement of that one, unfortunately.
Talking about objectives of this end, Saskatchewan, it would be huge for Saskatchewan to be able to score 2 points in this game and get in control of it in the 7th end.
With Saskatchewan rolling out, Northern Ontario will just try and come around their guard they just threw and sit another 2.
So this is Jamie Smith throwing third rocks for Northern Ontario. When she's done grade 12 this year, she is hoping to receive a Bachelor of Science as well as a Bachelor of Education in Concurrent Education. So she does slip a little bit deep. Still useful rock, sets up the force.
Yeah. Saskatchewan now leaning away from the more draw weights and towards the hits, which they haven't done all game.
I'm not sure what this quite accomplishes, though, because if that's not really a treble rock right now. If anything, the centerline guard's a treble rock.
Yeah.
So if you're going to peel anything or try and run anything back, I think you run in the center guard.
Hope to clip something on your way through, maybe.
She's going to make it now, though. I said that. Beautiful shot.
Yeah, that was a really good shot. Then again, they did end up cutting off their one draw path.
The Saskatchewan third has been playing amazing this game. Definitely one of the key players. A nice little hit and flop here can set up the end really nice for Northern Ontario.
Got a big margin to where you can roll to on this shot.
So they are trying to make it curl.
That was quite unfortunate as they did jam on their own rock, and Saskatchewan is now sitting 2.
Big window of opportunity. I think you almost got to come around that center line just because that's the one path and one shot that Northern Ontario does have that puts you in a little bit of trouble.
Yep.
So I think the ideal depth for this one is top 8 foot, no deeper than biting top 4.
Why would you say that's ideal?
If you're any higher, the come around is still available to Northern Ontario, but if you're any deeper, it kind of shuts down your scoring area a little bit, and it's easy for Northern Ontario to come and freeze down to you. Top 8 is kind of the magic spot halfway between.
Oh, I know.
Top 8 is the new top 4.
Really good depth on that one.
Yeah. This young Saskatchewan third is definitely playing really well. How young is she, Paige?
I believe she is 16 years old and in grade 11.
Wow.
And she admires Caitlin Laws, and she wants to be an ag rep or a chiropractor. She's competed in quite a few provincials, high school provincials, U-18 provincials, mixed doubles provincials. Just done a lot of curling for someone that's 16 years old.
So we will start to see this rock curl. Plan B, I think, is to come around that red one. So something that we have seen out of this young Northern Ontario skip is more often than not she has been heavy on her draws.
How would you address that in a game, Selena, if you had such a tendency and you just weren't aware of it?
I think it's something that the whole team can help out with, actually. Just talking to her about tolerance before the shot and knowing that she can afford to take a couple feet off and bring her sweepers into play.
Yeah, I can definitely say one of the hardest things to do is not be able to sweep in a championship like this. It's all sweepers want to do, and when your skip doesn't give you a rock to sweep, it's hard.
So Saskatchewan is calling a timeout. It was motioned by the coach. I think this is the first time out for Saskatchewan, right?
Yep, first time out for Saskatchewan, second time out of the game.
What would you do in this case, Paige? What do you think the shot is?
You still have a pretty good scoring opportunity. Like, even though that yellow rock is second shot, I think it's very makeable to be able to put. Not blocking off your draw path is what I would try to avoid.
I'd be tempted to almost come in and freeze our the top red one again.
I would too, because I think
making
you're still
sure
shot.
that if anything, you over curl and don't set up a stagger on the center line. But it will definitely force another draw from Northern Ontario.
Definitely, and you definitely have seen Northern Ontario struggle with their draws, so trying to force them into playing that type of shot is probably ideal for Saskatchewan, or something they should just consider.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go to the wing like you traditionally would with that high center guard. It's kind of in the way in order to stop for shot rock.
Honestly, you have to like play it behind the rock and navigate a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's a fairly good shot too. I think Northern Ontario could get around with the wide out turn to maybe nibble a piece of the forefoot. It's a tough shot though. A good rock placed here can set up definitely a one score or a two score.
Yeah, just even scoring in this end for Saskatchewan is really important because it is the sixth end.
So you have to be careful with this one that you're actually in the paint and not really short, because that just basically is another center line guard for Northern Ontario, and one draw could set up a steal here.
Yeah, especially if you're like around that halfway point.
Yeah.
It's really not in play at all.
Yeah. So something you said the third, or I guess the vice skip in the house say, is that you got to be in the paint, which is very true.
So the Northern Ontario skip will have the same shot she just threw to hopefully set up the steal or potentially the force.
So this is almost pretty much the same line that she just threw. You basically just need to get a piece of the pin or back tee line.
Sweepers are calling it up again.
It looks pretty close to me.
Yeah, I agree. Does need to curl though.
I think you'll get that late finish as long as weight is close. That is a beautiful draw.
Yeah, that's really good.
I think you can still get at it to score your one, if not two. I think something to be conscious of is to not wreck on your top one. You can afford to play a little bit more weight, and it will curl here. Like, I think you can even get away with back line with how much this ice curls. So,
and just scoring one is big here. Like, scoring two would like be nice, and you do have a shot. But if anything, just making sure that rock can allow you to score your one.
Yeah. So as you can see, it was a great manage by the Northern Ontario front end. They swept up to a very good position and forces a really hard shot. With that ice, I'm not sure if she's actually playing the tap for two. That seems like a lot of ice to be throwing anything more than back four-ish.
Yeah.
So they're cleaning it right now. It looks pretty close to me. The skip is saying that she thought she was up out of her hand. They're trying to make it... Just kidding, they're not trying to make it curl. She's really good. Really nice shot.
That was a really good shot. Very scary, but it's good.
It's amazing the talent of these young players, being able to read the ice and make such finesse shots. Really, it was weight control that really made that shot.
Yeah, that was a really good
Not
shot.
overthrowing it, not underthrowing it, knowing exactly what kind of weight you need. Emily has definitely made no mistake here. She is curling really good. All right, so it is now 6-5 for Saskatchewan, taking the lead in the 7th end.
So what are Northern Ontario's objectives for this end, Selena?
Yeah, I think that's really up to a personal level, whether, or I guess a team level, if you want to be a one up coming home without Hammer or one down with Hammer. It's totally a team preference, so I think by going tight, they have elected to try and force, so they would rather be tied or one down coming home with Hammer. And that would explain why they wanted a tight guard. Now with the 5-rock rule, I think being down 1 point with Hammer is almost more advantageous. I think you score 2 points more times than the opposition is forced to force you. So I think it's really up to the team in general, but
Yeah. Your preference would be to try and blank this end if you're Northern Ontario?
the blank is obviously ideal, yeah, but with how this game has been going, I don't know if we will see that.
I'm doubtful. It's looking like a really good shot by Northern Ontario lead.
So by going around, that indicates that Northern Ontario wants their 2, or else you might potentially see them throw their first rock to the wing and see if Saskatchewan will hit it. And that way it might set up a blank, but they elected to come around, so I think Northern Ontario is looking for their 2 pretty hard.
Yeah. I also would not be surprised if they threw the wing, if that Saskatchewan would completely ignore it. I would see them probably go around their own guard again.
The thing you have to be careful about, though, is that Saskatchewan guard is really high and is almost not in play. You can pretty much get to any rock with backline or hack with how much the slice curls.
Yep.
So this is a really nice setup shot. You have 2 angles at that yellow rock now for Saskatchewan. So they are sweeping it to make it curl a little bit. They are hoping to corner freeze that red one. And they undercurl a little bit, but still not a bad result. They did push that rock, so they have to be careful of getting those rocks behind the tee line.
So, Selena, as you competed at the U-21 Nationals this year, how would you say the play differs at this competition versus the older competition?
Yeah, so I think with this competition now being a Curling Canada event and there is a Nationals, you'll slowly see the gap being closed between U18s and U21s. I think the biggest thing that the difference is just the maturity of the players. And in U21s, you'll see a little bit more of aggressive play and taking on those shots where there's more risk involved, just because you're able to make them a little bit more often. But these players are really, really good, and I think any of them could stand within contention at a U21 level.
Yeah, this team, neither of these teams are afraid of being aggressive, so it's a good thing.
So that was a really nice shot by Northern Ontario there. Saskatchewan is definitely in a little bit of trouble, and they better start bailing right away.
Looks like they're definitely discussing bailing.
think you almost got to run that red one in on the side. I don't know if drawing's going to help you anymore. Even not with a bunch of weight, like playing board weight at it, at the rock on the left-hand side. Rolling your shooter away and killing at least one of the yellow rocks.
Or even just moving them behind the tee line is helpful as well.
It also leaves your red one that you're running back in a really good spot with board weight because it's not going to move anywhere too drastic.
They have elected to draw, though.
So with this one, you got to be pretty precise. Leaving it shorter, leaving it heavy is not ideal, but nevertheless, it's still a rock in the ring, so. So Northern Ontario is still sitting first and second shots and very close to third shots. I think they did elect to play the tap on that side red rock.
Called on very early by the skip.
So this does look like a little bit more than back 8 weight, but it definitely still plays moving that one out of there. You gotta be careful where you leave this one though. So Northern Ontario is sitting 4 yellow rocks in the 4-foot. Saskatchewan is in some trouble. Be lucky to come out of this end just giving up 2. If I was Saskatchewan, I'd be worried about getting some granite moving. I would almost be tempted to play that top red one on the center line in the top 8-foot. Really, anywhere you make contact with it, you're getting 1, but probably 2 yellow rocks out of the rings.
Yeah, and you can see enough of that red rock that you can throw quite a bit of weight at it.
Yeah, well, you don't even have to get to nose.
No.
You almost want to hit half of it to stick that red one right there. So big shot here for Saskatchewan third.
They have definitely elected to throw the freeze.
They are trying to make a curl.
Not anymore.
Nope.
Nope. We're just going to go right in that. Oh.
That's still a pretty good shot. Good results.
Rubbed off their top one. Northern Ontario still sitting 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you almost got to throw a guard and hope that those stay there, yeah.
Got to make Saskatchewan throw a hit of some sort.
I'm not sure how tight I'd put this, though. The tighter it is, the easier it just makes the run back.
Yeah. And Saskatchewan's definitely going to probably try and play on that rock they just put in the 4-foot.
I think you could almost afford it to take more ice because it doesn't really matter how wide this one is. You have quite a margin for error on the wide side, but anything on the over curl isn't ideal. She does over curl a little bit. You can probably see about 3/4, if not all of that stone from the hack.
Yeah. Hit that anywhere high side.
Yeah, so big shot. Just got to make sure you hit the outside half of it, and it's a pretty good result.
Yeah.
I don't think it's of importance to stick your shooter here.
No, you got to be a lot more concerned with what's in the 4-foot right now.
Yeah, you have a lot of margin for error with this. Anywhere on the outside half of the rock is money.
Puts Northern Ontario in a spot where they're going to have to make a good shot.
So the shot looks pretty good. As long as you clip a piece of it, you're really good. And no mistake has been made by Saskatchewan third. Playing a very, very well game today. Definitely a lot of years ahead of her. She's a really great player.
Yeah, that was a really big shot for Team Saskatchewan, and now,
You definitely got to start opening up something.
yeah.
I like that too. I think you got to play about board on that and hope to hit half of a red rock and push your yellow one to usable spots.
Yep. If you move it out, you can even use it to run in on that red one on your next one, potentially.
Gotta be careful not to hit this one too thick and run it straight back though.
Yeah, that would be...
Hitting it the wider is definitely the better in the miss.
Well,
That's not bad. It's
yeah.
You still are able to get to almost the nose of that rock with hack, so how much this ice curls. So we will see Saskatchewan throw the guard because that's pretty much the only shot Northern Ontario has right now is to tap those two yellows in the top 8 and top 4 foot of the house. So again, like I said before, Saskatchewan has elected to take a lot of ice, which I think is a really smart move. You can afford to be wide on this shot because it still does the job of blocking the hole with how much this ice curls. You just can't afford to over curl. So very smart move by the Saskatchewan skip here. I think that also goes to show how well the Saskatchewan team is doing at ice reading. I think especially at the U-18 level and U-21 level, whatever team can figure out the ice and the rocks the soonest is the one who has the edge to them and usually does fairly well. So Paige, is it just the skip that's responsible for ice reading?
No. So a lot of the times you need your whole team to be able to read ice. So the skip obviously has a pretty decent view because she sees everything go down the path. But as sweepers and throwers, you also have to know what kind of paths you're throwing in for speed. And it's important to know if your skip's giving you max ice or min ice because they're obviously going to do it to favor the pro miss side or always the make. But you also have to throw it like in a way that you allow them to use their icing abilities and stuff. So
Yeah, exactly. And what about breakpoint for sweepers? How is reading ice applicable to them with the breakpoint, and what does that mean?
yeah, so especially on arena ice, rocks break. So the breakpoint's when the rock starts to curl, and it's very aggressive on arena ice. So a lot of the times you'll see a rock running, and then as soon as it starts to curl, the weight will come off of the rock. So a lot of the times, depending on what the weight is out of the player's hand, you either choose to sweep through the breakpoint or after or before to try and manage that a little bit differently and bring the rock to a better place or just manage it to the spot you need, because if you sweep after the breakpoint, you're not going to be able to drag it as far, or if you sweep before it, you might be able to take it a little bit further.
Yeah, it's really crucial for line as well, whether you sweep it through the breakpoint or after or before. It will affect the curl a lot, especially on those draw weight shots, not so much on the hits, but
Yeah.
it's Team Northern Ontario trying to respond here with a big run back. She seems really close. She's definitely making noise in the house here. Oh, beautiful shots.
That was a really nice shot.
It's amazing these players being able to make high pressure shots like that.
They're so fearless too. They just like, oh, let's play the run
Great
back.
sweeping and great line call. Really good. And that sets up almost.
I think
for
they're
probably
sitting 3 actually.
So big shot by Bella there for sure. She has been curling for 11 years as well. And she is only 17.
Looks like they're looking at the hit and roll actually, not the draw.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised with that. I think you have quite a bit of margin for error with how wide that guard is up front, the yellow one. Really, all you need to do is get a piece of the forefoot, and you're cutting them down to 2, probably not 3. especially since she has been bang on with her draws. I would definitely play to that strength here.
I would too, especially that they did give you a chance to throw a draw.
So a fun fact about Emily here, she also is a competitive volleyball player. She was the captain of the volleyball team. So definitely a multi-sport athlete here. Fun fact, she also beat Steve Laycock in mixed doubles. So that is pretty impressive. I think Steve Laycock and Kristen Streifel, I actually had the opportunity to play with her. So yeah, both are really good curlers. Kristen has been to the World Junior Championships as well as the Universiade Games. Quite impressive for a young player. Oh, and that is really unfortunate to roll through that hole there.
Yeah.
So Saskatchewan is looking at giving up a pile here if Bella can make a nice quiet weight hit. That was really unfortunate. Either got to hit it a little bit thinner, a little bit thicker.
Yeah. Any other spot would have been really close for that. Looks like she's just trying to play the nose hit on that red rock in the forefoot.
Got to be careful because the jam is in play. If you do jam, you probably only score 2, maybe 3. So she has elected to play a quieter weight, probably like hack or boardish.
They're going early for it.
So they called it right out of her hand. It was either a tight slide or maybe she was down weight, but it looks pretty close to me.
They're trying to curl it now.
She looks pretty close though.
Yeah.
So I think that only was for 3, but still a really great throw. Yeah. Definitely got what they wanted out of that end. So they are going to be 2-up coming home without hammer.
It's a really great end by Northern Ontario.
Big shot by Bella. I think the biggest thing is to make sure you score your 3 points there. That's definitely huge. 4 would have been a bonus, but 3 definitely gives you strong control of the game.
And we are now entering the last end of play for this game, potentially.
And we will be bringing up a quick score update of other sheets. So Alberta is leading Quebec 7-5 in the last end of play. Alberta does have hammer. These are all girls' games as well. Saskatchewan, Northern Ontario, which is the feature sheet, is 7. Should be 7-5.
Yeah.
PEI has a strong lead over Yukon, 15-1. New Brunswick is leading BC 7-4. And Alberta host team is leading 6-5 over Ontario, playing 8. Ontario does have hammer.
On the boys' side of the draw, we have New Brunswick versus Alberta, and they are tied up, playing the 8th end at 5 points. For Alberta host team versus Saskatchewan, they're also tied up at 5 points, playing the 8th end. We have a final score for the Northwest Territories Manitoba game with 10-4 for Manitoba. And the Nova Scotia host team is up 6-3 on the Ontario team.
So Northern Ontario is looking to put both of their lead rocks in what we call the control zone. So it's basically from either side of the forefoot extending all the way to the top 12. So it's kind of a rectangle shape. So rocks in there are where your first couple stones want to be.
So they also are saying that this one is a little bit heavier, so they are now trying to play the tap.
Still a fairly good shot.
Yeah.
It does not set up a double and roll, which is nice. And both rocks are still in that control zone area. So a good shot here around the corner guard can set up a possible 2-score as those 2 yellow rocks are grouped together, and it's a fairly easy double.
Looks like they're trying to get some finish on this rock. Weight looks really close, though. We've seen a lot of good sweeping this game as well.
Yeah, very, very good sweepers. So what do we look for in a good sweeper?
So you definitely want to have a combination of pressure and frequency of your broom head. So the way you do that is try and get most of your body weight onto your broom. One of the biggest things that you want to do is make sure your feet are clearing your hip line so that you are putting your shoulders over top of the broom head to try and get as much pressure that you can generate and frequency. That's pretty much it.
So this rock must be a fair bit open for Northern Ontario to attempt the hit. You got to be careful not to hit that guard, as it is the 5-rock rule, and you cannot take it out of play. And great sweeping just takes it by. It's a really great shot.
Yeah, so Northern Ontario is now sitting 3, but it looks like Saskatchewan's going to play the freeze tap.
Yeah, the tap plays well. I think because it's fairly open, you can corner freeze it. You don't necessarily have to be shot rock at this point in time.
Nope.
Being second shot, I think, is fairly important here, though. So I think they are getting a little bit too much of an overcurl here, and they will hit and roll to the inside. So Northern Ontario is still sitting first, second, and third shot rock.
Northern Ontario now playing the peel, which is one of the first peels we've seen this game, actually.
Something to mention as well is that seems like a lot of ice for peels. On arena ice, you will see a lot of movement on draws, but those upweight hits tend to stay fairly straight on arena ice.
They did play this peel into the rock. Would that be your preference, Selena?
Again, I think it's really up to the team. You definitely got to play the turn and hit the rock where it avoids the jam in the house. So,
especially with that many rocks in the house at this point as well.
I think you got to start dealing with some of the Northern Ontario stones to score your 2. So a little tap here to sit third shot rock, or maybe even second shot rock, is an ideal shot. You can also play the double and hope that you're going to get a miss out of Northern Ontario, or hope for a double opportunity on your skips last. Something to keep important in mind for Northern Ontario is you definitely want to play for the win, but definitely don't play to give up the win. So giving up 2 isn't the end of the world here. You just got to make sure that you don't give up 3. So when deciding shot selection, that's really important. Because they definitely are at the advantage here. Giving up 2 is fine. You go to the extra end, and you do have Hammer playing the extra end, so that's definitely still an option.
It's a good place to be if you're Northern Ontario at this point.
So you just got to be careful of that jam in the back, not to get that, but it looks like she has made no mistake. Really good shot. So the triple actually almost is lined up if you hit it just a hair on the high side, so just a hair on the right-hand side. Even Nose is pretty close. I think Nose is really close to that triple. Yeah. You got to throw a fair bit of weight, like an 8-second takeout, though. So I'm sure Saskatchewan third here will be fairly close.
She's been quite good with her takeouts this game.
Again, Shayla Moore the third. She is only 16 years of age. She curls out of the Weyburn Curling Club in Saskatchewan. So still a really good shot. Does leave the double back. So I think that one just over-curled a little bit too much. They just need to hit it either a little bit thinner or a little bit thicker. So Northern Ontario is looking for the double here to get rid of both red rocks and take away the potential for Saskatchewan to score 2. And Jamie Smith makes no mistake. It just trickles out of the house. It's going to be really hard for Saskatchewan to score 2. You're going to have to play some sort of a freeze now. So really good shot, really good manage and line call from the Northern Ontario team.
Saskatchewan will try and play the freeze. Did you see if they're trying to freeze the top one or the back one?
I think the back one. So it looks like the Saskatchewan team has been in the running for a national competition for a long time coming, and I think this is their first year at a national competition, but they have been competitors in the Saskatchewan Playdowns for a long time now, just missing national competitions.
Really great freeze tap by Team Saskatchewan there. They are now sitting shot, but Northern Ontario does have the opportunity to just pick that one out.
With how young this Saskatchewan team is, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with in the future coming. I think almost all of them have some eligibility left. Definitely keep an eye on them in U-18s and even U-21s in the future. I think this competition is just going to grow the game in general in U-21s even.
I agree.
Beautiful shot there by Bella. Northern Ontario is just one shot away from potentially winning this game. It's going to force a really good shot from Emily here.
With how good her draw weight's been, though, I feel like this freeze is a pretty makeable shot for her.
Sweepers are cleaning it out of her hand, so she must be pretty close. They are sweeping for line now. It's curling a little bit too much.
You gotta put this one in the paint for sure.
I think you almost needed to be off that and freeze that top one.
Yeah. That's
So-
not the worst,
Yeah.
honestly.
Bella needs to be careful with where she hits this. She can afford to hit the outside half of it, just not on the nose.
Even if she does hit it, nose is close for the jam, but should be able to hit this one out, especially with how good her takeouts have been this game as well.
So Saskatchewan did drop their first game to Prince Edward Island, so they are currently at 0-1. They are looking to pick up their first win. And Northern Ontario is actually at 0-1 as well. They dropped their first game to the host Alberta team. So both of them are looking to pick up their first win. And it looks like she's pretty close here. And she did it. She makes no mistake. I don't think you can really score 2.
Unless they think that side one's in, but I'm not too sure.
It's still really hard to get rid of that double. You're going to have to throw a lot of weight to kill both of those rocks.
Yeah, and stick your shooter.
I guess it's worth a try.
Yeah, if they think
You
that side
never
one's in,
know,
you may as
yeah.
well throw it.
You never know if it's in or not. That is also a rule of curling. You cannot measure a rock to see if it is in or out unless it is during the free guard zone to determine if the opposition can hit it or not. But right now in this stage of the game, they are not allowed to measure.
So they're going directly off of what they think. So if they think it's close, they're definitely going to play this double and hope for the measure to go in their favor.
So just a little update while we are waiting here. Alberta did pick up a win over Quebec, so they are now 2-0. PEI did win over Yukon. And New Brunswick is currently 2-up against BC. And Alberta host team and Ontario are still sitting at 6-5 for Alberta. And these are all girls' scores. For the boys, Alberta is tied with New Brunswick. Saskatchewan is up 2 over the host Alberta team. She looks pretty close here. And yeah,
Shoot.
so Northern Ontario does pick up their first win. So Northern Ontario is now sitting at 1-1. And Saskatchewan is at 0-2. In this format, they do 2 pools of 7 teams, and then the top 4 teams from each pool advance to championship round.
Yeah, where they play the teams from the other pool they have yet to play, and then from that they go into playoffs.
So ideally, you want to kind of skate through this first round with 1 or 2 losses, as the competition is going to get harder in the next round of play when you head to championship round.
So that'll make our final score 9-6 for Northern Ontario.
So that is the end of the coverage for this game. These are some highlights. So this was the first end where Saskatchewan drew for 1, perfect draw. And this is the key shot that set up the 2-steal in the second end. A really nice draw by the skip of Saskatchewan. Forced a really hard draw from Northern Ontario, which was missed, and they did get the steal of 2, which really kind of changed the game. Then in this end, Northern Ontario made a really nice lightweight takeout to score their 1. And this is where the game kind of changed. It set up a open hit for 4 for Northern Ontario to take the lead for the first time this game.
Which they made. Really nice tap by Saskatchewan for their 2 to take the lead again in this game. And then a hit and roll for Saskatchewan that was really close, but again, not quite there. So Northern Ontario had a chance to hit for 3.
She did have a chance for 4, but made no mistake, and definitely had a good outcome of a 3 score.
Then Saskatchewan with a double attempt, didn't quite get it, so that would be another point for Northern Ontario and the win.
Awesome, so that wraps up our coverage for this game. You can tune in this afternoon at 2 p.m. for our feature game, Alberta versus Manitoba Girls. Thank you for tuning in. This is Selena Surmey.
And Paige Pathley, thank you.